Goeiedag, hoe gaan dit? My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching the Wildkard Rugby Show. Like, comment and subscribe. And yes, you are here today because finally, Dr. Rassie Erasmus has announced the first Springboks team for 2024 that will be heading to Twickenham to play against Wales this weekend. And boy, there are some players being injured and, there's a lot of players playing for the Bulls this weekend in the URC finals that is not available for selection. And Rassie Erasmus has embraced this opportunity to try out some new players and potentially making a little bit of a shift towards some new strategies that we might be seeing coming out of the Springboks going into their 2027 Rugby World Cup defense. So let's have a look at the lineup and let's have a talk about some of the key things that Rassie Erasmus is looking at going into this weekend. So coming in number 15, Afellele Farsi, a lot of you guys have been telling me he's doing really well. Ed Will van der Merwe, number 14. Number 13, Jesse Kriel. Number 12, Andre Esterhuizen. So this is one of the interesting aspects of the setup, because normally Jesse Kriel pairs up with Damien de Allende, and Andre Esterhuizen, obviously with Keenan Moody injured, normally pairs up with Keenan Moody. So it's interesting to see that how they have decided to keep Jesse Kriel at number 13 and not find a different partner for Andre Esterhuizen, but just having them pair out and see how they're going to travel together as a pairing. So that'll be interesting to see how that's going to work out. Number 11, Makazula Mapimpi. Number 10, Jordan Hendrickson from the Lions. 22 years of age, the younger brother of Jaden Hendrickson, the number 9, who's injured. And it'd be interesting to see how he's going to go, especially he's been selected ahead of Mani Labok. Yeah, so very interesting there. Number 9, Faf de Klerk. Number 8, Evan Ruiz. And actually interesting to see that Faf de Klerk here at number 9. Because is Faf de Klerk going to be a new playmaker for this team? And he's going to be doing a lot of the decision making on the field and basically cut out Jordan Hendrickson from his workload as a fly half. We'll have to see, because that's put a lot of the shift nowadays in terms of strategy is moving that decision maker like the French team do with Antoine Dupont to the number 9 jersey. And we'll have to see if this is what, something that Rassie Erasmus is considering as well this weekend. Coming number 8, Evan Ruiz. Number 7, Pieter-Steph du Toit will be the captain as well for this weekend. Huaga Smith will be starting this weekend, number 6 jersey. Number 5, Franco Mostert. Number 4, Eben Nesbeth, the two foundations of the Springboks 4-pack. Number 3, Vincent Koch. Number 2, the return to Test rugby of the injured Malcolm Marx. I'm very, very excited to see him back in play. He's been heartbroken during the Rugby World Cup due to an injury, so good to see him back. And finally, at the number 1 loose set jersey is the man who does not eat salad, Ox Uncha. He's normally off the bench as the scrummaging specialist to guarantee a penalty for the Springboks. And put him in the start position. Very interesting to see how that's going to work for the Springboks. Number 16, Bungi Bunabi. Number 17, Ntuthuku Mchunu. Number 18, I'm pretty sure I butchered that. Number 18, Franz Malherba. Number 19, Salman Morat. Number 20, Ben Jackson Dixon. Number 21, Juan Williams. And Grant Williams is someone that's very, very good. He can double up as a winger as well. He was very impressive for the Springboks in the past. And looking forward to see how he's gonna, what sort of impact he's gonna play and where he's gonna go coming off the bench. He potentially can fill in, like I said, as a winger or maybe even a fullback. We'll see how that goes. At number 22, Sacha Fangberg Gomez Zulu. This guy, a lot of you guys have been telling me that he's really, really, really good for the potentially wanted to consider him in the Springboks. And I'll look forward to see how he's going to go coming off the bench. And finally, number 23, and the most interesting part of this selection is Damien de Allende. Now, Damien de Allende is an inside center. Normally the Springboks likes to have an extra fullback as number 23 jersey. Even when they do play 5-3 on the setup, like they did against England, they had an extra fullback on the bench. This is very, very interesting for me because having an extra center it's famous. It's famous for what Ireland likes to do, and is something that the All Blacks likes to do with their bench selection. So yeah, so Springboks is kind of like maybe trying out something different here. And also I think Rassie Erasmus is anticipating a potential law change that is going to restrict number of forwards that is allowed on the bench. So he's going to looking at how to diversify his options and potentially play a more traditional style with an extra wing, with extra center that is on the field, and also the shift away from having the law change for short arms, not allowed to call for scrum anymore. The shift away from the emphasis of scrummaging. He's going to have a look at a different way to exploit some power game, and I think he's looking at having an extra center to be that point of difference in terms of power that he's going to be trying out this weekend. So yeah, very interesting this setup, and let me know your thoughts if that's what you see out of these selections. And referee Chris Bubsby from Ireland, and interesting. So I already mentioned this, a lot of injuries for the Springboks team. Stephen Kitsoff is injured. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention that Vincent Koch is getting his 50th test match this weekend, so congratulations. And Stephen Kitsoff is injured. Lou Diaga is injured. John Klein is injured. John Luke Dupree's injury. Jaden Hendrickson, Renko van Wyk, Kanan Moody, Damian Willemse, finger injury, Curdy Adams are all currently injured, and also Cheslin Kobe is injured as well, but pending on his diagnosis on his knee, he might be available to play against Ireland. So yeah, it's a lot of people not available for selection, and this is the Welsh team coming up. Some interesting stuff, a lot of new players in this Welsh team, especially off the bench. But it's interesting to see that Warren Gatland has backed Sam Costello in the 10 jersey. He was kind of like juggling back and forward with his 10 selections during the Six Nations a little bit, and it's good to see that he kind of like settled on Sam Costello. Real Dyer was very, very good for Wales out of the number 11 jersey, very dangerous, one of the few dangerous points. And in the forward pack, Aaron Winwright is probably the man to look out for, the big number 8 with blonde hair. He's probably going to be the most impactful player for the Welsh when it comes to that forward pack. And a lot of work will be done by the forwards this weekend, and how that's going to go, we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, scrum, I think it's going to probably the biggest issue, to be honest. A lot of young players off the bench, 3 young, relatively inexperienced players on the bench, and the 3 that's starting, Gareth Thomas is the only one that has a bit of a lot of experience, not even that much, 30 test caps, 12 test caps for Lewis Lake, and Henry Thomas, only 4 test cap in the starting front row. So yeah, that's again another thing that's probably going to be an issue, but we'll see if I don't know if is the law change going to be applied this weekend, because officially it's applied in July, 1st of July. So this might not have that new law change, but we might get the first taste of how the law change is going to affect the scrummaging this weekend. Next up in Ireland now, Jameson Gibson Park and Jack Conan are both being ruled out of the South African tour. Gibson Park is ruled out due to a hamstring injury that suffered on the weekend against the Bulls, and Jack Conan has decided to not make himself available due to his personal reasons. Yeah, already talked about this. Cheslin Kobe, he had a look, he was withdrawn from the squad last week, and at the moment he's it's not sure how bad the knee injury is, but he's not feeling 100% with that knee, and you really need to look after this guy. If he can't play, just got to make sure that he's fully healed for the Rugby Championship, probably the more important test matches that is coming up in the Springboks calendar. Now, moving forward, the grand final is going to be played against two interesting teams that probably not many people were expecting to be in the finals in the URC this year. The Bulls will be playing against the Warriors, having both teams having eliminated their Irish counterpart. The Bulls has done an absolute amazing job on the weekend, beating Leinster. A lot of poor referee decision. To be fair, both ways there were poor referee decisions, but I did feel like the Bulls probably got the brunt end of the bad decisions. Warriors was beaten. The Glasgow Warriors beaten the Munster on the weekend in Ireland as well. So really, really well done. Really big effort. And, what's interesting was I didn't watch the full game, but when Munster decided to kick this first penalty goal, when they had a yellow card, it's pretty much the losing playbook out of the England rugby, right? Like the Eddie Jones loser mentality out of Eddie Jones playbook. You get the yellow card, you're about to score. Let's take a break, guys. Let's not finish the job. Let's just take 3 points and be done with it. And sure enough, with that mentality, they were not able to breach the defense of the Glasgow Warriors, despite having the Glasgow had 2 yellow cards throughout the game. There was a red card against Munster near the end of the match. But you had this is your opportunity to get 7 points right here. You opted to go for the 3. I talk about this every week. I rant about this every week in Super Rugby when it comes to Australian teams. If your players don't want to play rugby, you can't win. That's just simple as that. And Glasgow really, the more adventurous team that made it to the final. Anyway, next up, so we've already talked about this. Yeah, so this was 25-23 to the Bulls. Really, really huge heroic effort defending the Trialans, defending them their lead towards the end. A lot of criticism came out against the Leinster's performance. One of the interesting ones, which I do have to agree with, is O'Callaghan's assessment is that too many of the players were being protected. So apparently, I didn't watch URC, but apparently the Leinster team traveled down to South Africa with their B team to protect and save, give a break to all of their key star players. And they lost a bunch of games during that tour and basically ended up in a situation where they have to travel to South Africa in the semi-final because they weren't high enough in the rankings at the end of the season. And this has also led to a situation where a lot of their key players, especially their big names, hasn't played overseas. Something that the French is learning, right? Last week we reported that the French team is not going to bring in their A team. They have a core 20-player special snowflakes that's not going to be playing all the test rugby because they need more break than everybody else, right? So the French have decided next year not going to be traveling to New Zealand with their A team, with their core team, but with their B team instead to play the All Blacks. So it is stuff like that is hurting these teams. And the French, I hope that, Fabien Galtier finally grows a brain and actually make the right decision. But this is what O'Callaghan talked about. And I completely agree that, your player is only as good as the amount of game, the quality of opposition you play. If you don't play, you're not going to get better. You're going to get worse. So that is a very, very good point from him. Anyway, let's move forward. Now, Sam Whitelock has decided to come out of retirement this weekend to play for the Barbarians against Fiji at Twickenham. So this will be an interesting game as well. And this will be coached by Robbie Deans. And I think there's one Wallaby that's going to be ex-Wallaby. Scott Seo is going to be playing in the loose set. We do need a loose set, so maybe, Joe Schmidt will look at him this weekend and potentially pick him up for that, loose set injury issues that we're having here in Australia. Next up, the All Black selection is coming up as well. Scott Robertson, I keep calling him Robinson. Robertson has added 2 additional coaches to the All Black setup. Corey Flynn has been added as a throwing coach. I mean, he's probably worried about Osafa. I think Osafa Moore and most likely Cody Taylor will be the starting 2 hookers, and both of them are not 100% at the moment. So I think that is the right decision there to get the throwing coach. And also, David Hill has been recontracted to be the kicking coach. Again, I'm thinking that maybe he's considering having Bowden Barrett ahead of Damien McKenzie. And if that's the case, then they're going to have to need Bowden to be the regular goal kicker. Maybe Jordie Barrett has been the regular goal kicker if they don't select Damien McKenzie. So yeah, interesting to see that decision to bring in David Hill back as a kicking coach. So maybe they have somebody else in mind as a starting fly half, because we know Damien McKenzie's goal kicking is pretty world class at the moment. So yeah, interesting there. Yeah, so yeah, there were 5 players being sued put on trial in Bordeaux for sexual assault. yeah, pretty graphic stuff. You can go read this yourself. I don't want to read it here, but yeah, very aggressive stuff. 5 players, and anyway, moving on. Sia Kolisi, was a bit criticized a little bit by his current employer, Rasi 92, Jack Lorenzetti. Not really like criticism, but Lorenzetti basically said that Sia Kolisi, after his injury, hasn't really, lost a bit of form, and really wasn't, really was, he gained a bit of weight, really, just, I guess, part of being injured. So, yeah, pretty big criticism there. I think, probably going to get a bit of heat from a lot of the Sia Kolisi fans out there. Let's move on to Super Rugby now. First up, big injury to Somasoni Taukiaho on the weekend. He looked like he pulled his calf or something. He was going in to make a tackle and he just pulled up. He didn't even make contact. So maybe, I think it's probably one of those issues where maybe he drank too much creatine and pulled his calf or his leg. But it's not looking good. The coaching staff reported a pretty serious injury. No exact detail on what the injuries is reported to be, but he's probably not going to be available for the All Blacks. That's going to be pretty heartbreaking for him. And as a result, this weekend, let's talk about another thing. Yeah, so the other test match that's going to be played this weekend is England versus Japan. Eddie Jones' Japan. Oh boy, the amount of rubbish that came out of Eddie Jones' mouth, I didn't even read any of it, right? So you can go read it yourself. There was a lot of rubbish about that. I try to avoid the cancer, avoid the noise. It's just really like Eddie Jones. Like, I don't know why so many of these like people even bother interviewing Eddie Jones, treating him like he's still royalty. Just come on, man. Like, what's his name? What was his name? Hamilton. I really like his stuff, and I think he's a great guy. But like, I get it. He tried, it's his job to interview these people. But I mean, I just, it's such a waste of time. It's so disrespectful to everybody else. Giving Eddie Jones a platform to talk about Jim Hamilton. Yeah, Jim Hamilton, give him a platform to talk about just absolute garbage and absolute just lies and bullshit and try to make him. Yeah, anyway, you can go watch that stuff if you like it, but I'm not going to even talk about that. And this is probably the first time in my life I'm really looking forward to support England this weekend in beating Japan. I can't even believe I've just said that. I'm looking forward to see England beating Japan. Hopefully smash Japan, triple digits this weekend against Eddie Jones. So yeah, big selections this for obviously Steve Bothwick. Marcus Smith comes in at 10. George Forward is injured, and Alex Mitchell, 2 players who's been really informed in the Premiership, will be like, I guess, 2 key players on the field for England. Alex Mitchell, I think, is the guy that scored the try that won the game over Bath for the Saints on the weekend a couple weeks ago. So yeah, really, big selections here for England. I think the centre, Henry Slade, will also put on a big show. Fei Waboso, again, this guy is very exciting to watch. Looking forward to see that guy play. And I don't think there's anything else I wanted to specifically look at out of this England side. Who's Bevan Rod, I think. What's his name? Joe Muller's on the bench. Yeah. Anyway, let me know your thoughts about this England side and Japan. I'm not even going to go talk about the Japanese team because whatever. So yeah, let's go back to Super Rugby. Really sad news out of New Zealand. Connor Garden Bishop passed away last week, a couple of days ago. He just due to some illness or something, the police were called in, and there was no. The police said there was no any sort of investigation into potential like foul play involved in this. But it's just really sad. Connor, he was so young, only 25 years of age. And I don't know, maybe we'll have to find out more details to what happened. But due to some illness, he just passed away. He just died. Really sad. Anyway, let's move on. So Patrick Topolotu has returned this weekend for the Blues in a bit of a miracle recovery from injury. He was, it was said that he was going to be out for maybe even the test matches against England, so quite a while due to a leg injury. He limped off the field a couple weeks ago, and really it was very heartbreaking for a lot of people. He worked really hard this season to have a chance to get it back into the fold for the All Blacks. And it's good to see that he's back. So despite the initial report that he wasn't going to be available, for the test matches, he, came out this week, did some work in the gym. He went, had a run on the field, and everything was fine. And he was, he told the coaches that he really wanted to play, and the coaches were happy enough to give him the green light to play this weekend. And another guy who had a bit of interesting recovery is Bradley Slater. So he was taken off the field last week due to a HIA. I thought he was taken off to a fake HIA because their team, don't want, because he was the last hooker that was available because Semifinals Taukei'aho already taken off. So if he was actually a HIA, I'm pretty sure the mandatory protocol is that he has to be stood down for 2 weeks. So I don't know how he's allowed to go back on the field if he was indeed a HIA that took him off the field on the weekend. So even the article here was said that he's miraculously put up. So the leg injury, I can understand that you can potentially recover. Maybe you just had a bit of a cramp or something. But the HIA, we'll have to see what's happening there. So but it's I don't have anything against that. I think if the players are good to go, it's good to go. But I think I did feel that last week maybe the Chiefs. Let me know your thoughts if the Chiefs did something or not to get him off the field without suffering the penalty of the uncontested scrums. But it's good to see him back. The Chiefs will still have a bit of an issue, I think, in the hooker position. Tyrone Thompson, relatively fresh player for the Chiefs. He has played for about 20 caps for the Chiefs. He's played for the Maori All Blacks, so he's definitely not a slouch. But he's not quite the same level as Semifinals Taukei'aho. And this will be a big test. Ricky Riccatelli, selected number 2 for the Blues. I'm very excited to watch this weekend's game for the Blues, actually, to win Super Rugby for the first time in my life. This 4-pack in the Blues team is just absolutely brutal and really just incredible to watch. And what's very interesting is that the Blues plays 4 wingers. Talk about a new style of rugby, right? Mark Slayer, Riku Ioane, come on. Riku has been pretending to be a centre for 5 years now. AJ Lamb at 12, and Caleb Clark coming in at 11. And Harry Plummer, the fly half, hardly touches the ball, right? And it's just one of those crazy game plans that if you told me this is what you're going to do for the season, I would think that you're crazy. And if you told me you're going to do this and win Super Rugby, I wouldn't believe you. But here it is, 4 wingers and a fly half that hardly touches the ball. The Blues are potentially going to dominate and win the game this weekend. And we'll have to wait and see. But the key for the Chiefs now, it really is about the breakdown. It's about defense, it's about the tackle, the low tackles, stopping them from forward. The forward momentum from the Blues. And David McKenzie really need to manage that kicking game. And the big point of difference in the back line is Anton Lennon-Brown, the guy that's almost doubles up as an extra forward on the back line, being able to get those turnovers, the breakdowns. And he's been such huge good form as well. Super fit. And in Moni Nanora as well, very, very good in those line breaks. And he will be making a statement this weekend if he wants to get a spot ahead of the 4 wingers that he's going to be facing, for a black jersey this weekend. So very, very good to see that. Oh, yeah, so I forgot. So there was talk that Akira Ioane, Riku's brother, is going to go to Japan next season. And he apparently was born in Japan. So that actually means he will be qualified to play for Japan very soon because he hasn't played for the All Blacks for quite a few years now. And which means Michael Leach, who's at the tail end of his career, could be looking at a potential 35 years age, could be looking at a potential switch for Akira Ioane for that spot. So that's a really interesting decision for Akira to go to Japan, and I think that's probably what he had in mind when he made that decision. And next up, so in France, it's only the semi-finals in the top 4 team. Toulouse will be playing La Rochelle, and Stade de Francais will be playing against Bordeaux for that final spot. And next up, we've got some little bit of speculation here. It's that Jordie Petaia, there's some speculation that he's potentially going to go to trial for the NFL like Reece Zammit did. And there was some talks that he was going to switch to rugby league as well. There's a lot of rumors of what he wants to do with his future. He had to be injured in and out for Super Rugby. I think he's pretty sure he's currently injured. So he hasn't really been like 100% as well. So yeah, we'll have to see where he goes. And it's reported that if he goes to the US, he could be potentially looking at, you know, $950,000 for a season instead of only about $231,000 currently playing in Australia. So yeah, a lot less money for him to stay. And you know, this is obviously the stupidity of Rugby Australia for paying, you know, almost $2 million a year for Joseph Suaalii to play on the wing. I mean, who wants to play for 321,000? I mean, that's 23,000 is about, you know, 300,000 Australian dollars. Like, who wants to play for 300,000 Australian dollars when you can play for, you know, 1.5 million in the US playing, you know, NFL, right? And especially when you have other players that's paid $2 million. So you're not really getting your worth here because of stupidity of Rugby Australia. But yeah, anyway, let's continue with the news. And yeah, Stuart Hogg has decided to come out of retirement. There's been a lot of talk about him in the media in the last few weeks. And something about, I'm pretty sure he like divorced his wife and started sleeping with some other bird. And now he's come out of retirement, I guess. Yeah, I guess once your you know, thing though is working again, you want to play rugby. You know, that kind of makes sense, right? Your testosterone level gets back up, and he wants to get back into the action. And finally, yeah, there was a bit of a stabbing amongst children, essentially, in Perth. So a 16-year-old stabbed a 18-year-old kid in Perth, and Brian Standard, pretty sure he was he a former South African? I don't think he played Test, but yeah, Brian Standard, a Western Force player. Yeah, Sharks. That's right. He played in South Africa. I thought he played. I thought he might have. Yeah, I don't think he played Test match. I don't know. Anyway, he was, you know, present, and he, you know, chased down the 16-year-old, and yeah, and held him, you know, held his actions accountable. So you're really sad to see a lot of these stabbings are happening here in Australia, and a lot of them are done by kids. There was one where you know, the priest got stabbed by a kid as well. So something's really wrong with the way that we are raising our kids these days. But hey, let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know your thoughts about the Springboks and Jake White Bulls this weekend. And everybody knows Jake White. He is indeed my dad. Right, he's the reason I have this jersey. He's the reason I'm the Springbok fan today. And I look forward to seeing him winning URC this weekend. So go the Bulls. Thanks for watching. Cheers.